I've been teaching AI to organizations like IBM, SAP, and Salesforce for over a decade. And the number one thing I see holding people back isn't technology, it's their workflow. They're bouncing between tabs, copy and pasting research, losing context halfway through, and then they're wondering, why does it take so long? But there are two tools that when you combine them will completely change how fast you can go from a basic presentation to something that looks like you spent hours creating. So I'm going to go to Perplexity, and here I can see that I can choose my model. Or if I don't select a model, it will just auto choose it for me. I also have some options down below regarding whether I want to analyze something, do shopping, if I just want to use Perplexity 101. This is the option that I can choose based on the task that I'm doing. So for example, since I am doing research, I'm going to select the Analyze button and ask it a question. So for this project, I am a market researcher and I'm really interested in studying fashion trends. And I want to know when people select a product, are they picking it more because of the style or because of the fit? So I'm going to ask Perplexity, analyze women's fashion trends. Do consumers select clothing more based on style or based on fit? Now again, because I selected the analysis button, it is doing deep research. One of the things I like about it is it breaks down the question that I have into sub questions. So it's searching women's apparel, drivers, women's clothing fit. It's also looking at online fashion shopping importance, comfort versus style. So it took the question that I have and it broke it down into 3 separate questions. Here now I can see the sources that it's reviewing and what it's looking up. So here I have now the output. It shows me the sources that it reviewed. I can click on this. It says it reviewed 15 different sources and it wrote up a report for me based on the sources that it reviewed. However, what I love about Perplexity, and this is where it's very much different than just Google searching, is that it will give me the link to each source and I can flip through and see how it came to that conclusion. So here I can see that it has a source where it's fit issues, ready to wear women's apparel. The next one is from Forbes, and then there's one from Getwear. What is great about this is I can go ahead and click on any of these sources and also read it myself to validate the source as a reliable source. Whereas if I was just Googling this, I would have to find each of these sources one by one and read it. What this is doing here is it's going through, finding the sources, and then summarizing it for me. So something like this question where I asked it to look at consumer preferences is a real question that I would use as a research analyst. So as a research analyst, I look at different consumer trends and behaviors, and I want to better understand why individuals have a particular preference for one thing or another. What's always really surprised me about Perplexity is how great it is at being able to cite its sources. If you've worked with an LLM tool, one of the things that's hardest about it is you don't know where it's getting its information from. So the fact that I can go back and I can look at these sources and see if they're reputable or not, see if it's something that I want to add into my research, makes a world of difference because I cannot just share things because they sound good. I have to make sure that they are true and trusted resources. Now, Perplexity, even with the analysis feature, does a great job of getting you started. But if I were to share this report here that it shared with me in terms of, consumer trends, overall patterns, initial attraction, this is a pretty basic report. And if people have read a lot of AI outputs, they would easily tell that I didn't put a lot of effort into this and I just took kind of the first output from AI and use this. So Perplexity alone can really only do half the work. What you need is something to synthesize the information and make it in a really beautiful presentation format that clearly conveys your message. And this is where NotebookLM comes in. So we're going to go over to NotebookLM, and where it really shines is synthesizing this information and taking in the sources that we gathered from Perplexity. So again, I go to NotebookLM. I'm just going to go here and create a new notebook. And I can, of course, do my traditional search in NotebookLM, but instead what I'm going to do is take the sources that I found for Perplexity and add them in. So here I really like the Forbes article. It to me is a really trusty source. So I'm going to take that link and I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to click on the website and add that. Now what's great is I can add multiple URLs. I'm going to find the additional links to the sources that I felt were really trustworthy. Okay, so now I have my sources. I'm just going to go ahead and hit insert. And what's fantastic about this, it's like building your own library. So instead of an LLM going out and searching all of the web and pulling in whatever resources it can find or using its own knowledge base based on its training, what I'm going to have my LLM work on is just the 5 sources that I've added here. Now, in NotebookLM, a couple things. First, you'll see that it's already started to build out a report here after I've added in my 5 sources. I can also just update the name of the notebook up above. So I'm just going to quickly name my notebook, and this is fit versus style clothing. So I have fit versus style clothing preferences. I can also now go in and add additional sources if I want to, but so far I'm really happy with the sources that I have. What I mainly want to do now is start to use what makes NotebookLM shine, and that is its analysis tools and its presentation tools. For instance, we go over to the right-hand side and there is this studio option that I can expand on, and we'll see the option to do video overviews, mind maps, infographics, but the one I'm going to start with is the slide deck. Now, note to self, you can click slide deck and it'll just start going for you, but what you want to click on is this little pencil because it's going to give you options on what type of slide deck to create. So we can do a detailed deck, which you can think of this as more like a document, so something that you're going to share with somebody because it's going to have more content and information. Or you can do presenter slides. So think of presenter slides as something that I don't want as many words on because I, as the individual, am going to talk to the slide. I'm going to do presenter slides for this, and then I want to give it a high level description of what I am doing with this presentation. So in the description, I just added that I'm a research analyst studying consumer behavior and analyzing the question if women select clothes more based on style or fit. And I'm going to go ahead and click the generate button. And again, what is great about this is I can see right here it is generating a slide deck based on 5 sources. So it's taking just the 5 sources that I added in because I find those to be the most trustworthy and creating the slide deck just off of those 5 sources. If you want breakdowns like this every week, tools, workflow, what's actually working and worth your time in AI, I send that out in my weekly newsletter. Over 20,000 people already get it, and the link's in the description. So after you've given it a little bit of time and your presentation is complete, you can go ahead and click on it here. I'm going to expand this, but automatically we can just see by the cover how much better this is than what we had done with Perplexity before. So if we go back to Perplexity, here we can see the report, very basic, standard LLM output. Here, what we have is one, the graphic is gorgeous. I love that graphic because it so accurately describes what we're talking about style versus fit, which one makes people decide. And then it also provides research based on findings, and it cites the sources that I provided to it. Here again, I asked for a presentation style. This is something that I can see being delivered by a high-level consultant. Just the quality of this looks overall really, really good. You have one really simple words, easy to talk to, but again, it's all based on the sources that I gave it. Something that I love here though is classic research analyst material where you have like an infographic of the people color coded and the statistic from it as well. So overall, you can see just like how much better this is, but how combining these 2 tools together makes something really, really special. So I want to take you through essentially one of my processes from beginning to end for a lot of the work that I do. So at HMCI, what we do is we study human-machine collaboration, and we're always looking at how humans can best work with AI. So one of the questions that I often ask is, when using AI, who makes better decisions? Is it teams that are using AI or teams that are not? So first I'm going to go to Perplexity for that question so that I can find some really good resources. So again, I type in my question, do teams that use AI assistants make better decisions than those that don't? Here we can see that it reviewed 10 different sources. But what I like about this is even just reviewing this list, I can quickly see which ones are a little bit more trustworthy than maybe others. The biggest thing though is all of these here are different research papers. So as I'm reading again through this report, I could click on these and open it up. I can read them to make sure that it's something that I want to include in my report or that it's trustworthy. But most importantly, I'm able to check each source. Something like from the Journal of Nature is a highly trusted research report that I want to include in my final report. Again, I start with Perplexity, I start with the question, and then I go over to NotebookLM and I start by creating a new notebook. Again, I take the websites that I am looking to add in from my report. So I have them pulled up here and I'm just going to drop all of them in. Okay, now you can see the sources that I've added in. So I have my 5 different sources here, all from really trustworthy sources. And I have my key question, AI assistant team decision making. This time though, what I'm going to do, instead of creating a slide deck, I want to first start just with an infographic. So again, I'm going to go to the infographic, click the pencil. And for this, what I'm going to do is select a square better infographic and I want just a standard. When I'm describing this infographic, I'm going to add in my question, the same question here that I added in for Perplexity. Do teams that use AI assistants make better decisions than those that don't? Then I'm going to go ahead and click generate. Here we can see now the output from not only the research I provided, but the infographic that I asked for. And while I find this interesting, I find this a little bit too busy. So if I'm going to share something like this, I really have to dig into the details to see what it's talking about. It has some flashy images, but I really can't see what the findings are from this other than the 3x increase in breakthrough ideas. So what I'm going to do here is going to go back and have it create a new infographic so that this time it will be more simplified and to the point. But before you try this, there's one mistake that I see people make all the time that really does kill the whole thing, and that is not having a really clear question. As you can see by what I'm putting together, my question is super clear. Do teams that use AI make better decisions than those that don't? If you don't have a clear question, it's going to be really hard to be able to get these clean and clear results. So make sure that you're starting with a clean and clear definition. Okay, so now I have my more simplified graphic, and what I like about this is I can automatically see this, the 3x. Teams using AI are 3 times more likely to produce the top 10% of breakthrough solutions compared to the teams working without it. Again, it shows me that it's a combination of the two. It talks about the differences between them, and it even shares some additional statistics down here, 13% faster results and overall higher morale. So I like this infographic a lot better because to me, it's more simple, easier for people to understand. But again, you can see how it was a collaboration between the 2 different tools, Perplexity and NotebookLM. So here's where most people land after watching a video like this. Option 1, you close this tab, open a new one, and you go back to doing research the same old way you've always done it before. The second option takes under 5 minutes. That's the difference between people who talk about AI and people who actually use it. So if you want more workflows like this, my newsletter is in the description. Over 20,000 people get it every week. I'll see you in the next one.